I want to say a word about, I guess today is Juneteenth. Juneteenth for me is a bit like Kwanzaa because initially you kind of have to go, what? And then you realize, hey, it's celebrating, of course, the end of slavery and the Confederacy. By itself, it's great. I have no quarrel with Juneteenth and what it represents. But then you notice the kind of unnatural glee on the part of the left over Juneteenth, and you realize, why are they so excited about it? Something fishy seems to be going on. And there is. So I can give sort of 2 cheers for Juneteenth, but I also want to spell out a little bit of the left's agenda behind it, which is, let's figure out a way to move away from July 4th. In other words, let's try to move the fulcrum of American history from the founding to some other thing as part of our project to boot the founders out. And this is kind of why, and they've taken some heat for it, people like Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk have been like, we're going to celebrate July 4th. Now, very interestingly, in American history, and I think this to me is the key point, it is July 4th that made possible Juneteenth. And that isn't, this is not sort of Dinesh's contrarian take on history. This was Abraham Lincoln's view. Lincoln, in one of his very telling statements, one of my favorite remarks by Lincoln, he says, and he's talking about this idea, the Declaration of Independence, all men are created equal. He says, the founders declared the right so that the enforcement of it could follow as soon as the circumstances permitted. And so you see right here how, and as we go through American history, thinking about Alveda King and Martin Luther King says in one of his famous speeches, I'm submitting a promissory note, and I'm demanding that it be cashed. And I say to myself, well, what note? Did somebody give him a note? He's certainly not talking about something that was provided to him by the segregationists. So what is he referring to at all? Well, it turns out he's referring to the Declaration of Independence. He's actually claiming the promise of the American founding. So right here you see that not just the end of slavery, but the civil rights movement itself builds on and is totally parasitic on the principles of the founding. King isn't founding a new country. He's claiming full membership in the country that Jefferson founded.